Well, the Seattle Seahawks have now signed Sam Darnold to be their quarterback in 2025 through 2027, but the offensive line still has some work to do. Today, we're talking about two potential options that the Seahawks could grab to supplement that offensive line, plus one offensive lineman whose deal reportedly fell through. We're going to talk about that as well right here on Seahawks Now. Before we begin, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more Seattle Seahawks content, and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another upload. All right, guys, we're talking about NFL free agency, and there's a 5-time Pro Bowl tackle still available in free agency for the Seahawks to grab if they want him. His name is Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, 35-year-old offensive lineman. He's been a left tackle pretty much his whole career. He did start as a right tackle. Played for the Dallas Cowboys from 2011 to 2023. He spent 12 seasons in Dallas, and he became a legend, probably going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 119 approximate value, not average value, approximate value. Then he went to the Jets last season. He started 10 games and had a decent year. Definitely was not an amazing year with the Jets, but it was still a decent season. He helped protect Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron was not, the Jets had a good offensive line last year. It was actually probably the best line they've had in a long time. Well, Tyron Smith, he's still available in free agency, begging the question, should the Seahawks go out and sign Tyron Smith? I think, obviously, it all comes down to price, but I would love to see Tyron Smith in a Seahawks uniform. I think the Seahawks offensive line has just been, over the past 10 or so years, it's just been such a point of contention with this team. I mean, John Schneider has pretty openly said he doesn't want to overpay on linemen. So I guess the question is, do you want to overpay for a guy who might be a Hall of Fame talent, but yeah, you are going to have to need to pay him. And at the end of his career, he has played for 14 seasons. He's 35 years old. Can you expect him to have the same value he's had in the years past? I just looked at 2023. I mean, in 2023, he was the second-team All-Pro tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. He started 13 games. He had an approximate value rating of 12. The problem for him, though, is he is an injury risk. He only played 2 games in 2020. He only played 11 in 2021, 4 in 2023, 13, and then 10. So he's missed games in each of the past 5 seasons. In fact, he's missed games in every season since 2016. He's definitely been an injury-prone player. But certainly, if you look at the last 5 seasons, he has averaged 11 starts per year. He's averaging 6 missed starts per season. So it's hard to really hedge your bets on a player who is missing so many starts. But if you're going to hedge your bets on anyone like that, in my opinion, it would be Tyron Smith. Another former Jet actually who's available, former Jets first rounder who could reunite with Sam Darnold. Mekhi Becton is also available in free agency. Mekhi Becton has had a rough career. He was picked with the 11th overall pick in the 2020 draft to the New York Jets and just never really panned out for him. He only started 1 game in 2021, and he didn't even play in 2022 with an injured knee. But over the past 2 seasons, he's actually been quite good. He only missed 1 start for the Jets. He was a good player. 5 approximate value in 2023, and then an approximate value of 7 in 2024. So, not an amazing player. He's never made a Pro Bowl yet, but at 26 years old, he could certainly still make an impact. He actually moved over to Philadelphia last season, and he started all but 2 games on the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. So he is a Super Bowl champion as well. I think Mekhi Becton would bring some good experience. He's coming off the best season of his career. He's entering his age 26 campaign. He's getting better. He was a former first-round pick. He checks all the boxes, except for the stardom, which means you can probably get away with not having to pay him superstar money, and you might just get superstar value out of Mekhi Becton. The Seahawks have, in the past, they've shown willingness to do this, go attack guys who, maybe they used to be first-round picks, maybe they used to be really highly rated, and they've sort of fallen off. I think back to Luke Joeckel. He was very similar kind of status to that. He was a first-round pick for the Jaguars, never really panned out there. He also just didn't pan out in Seattle, unfortunately. So the Seahawks do have to be a little bit careful. You don't want to sign a guy who's going to fall off, but you do want to sign a guy who's going to provide good value. And I think Mekhi Becton would provide good value in a Seahawks uniform. I think he would be a good player. I think he's still getting better. still recovering from some injuries that set him back in his career, but he's young. He's not super expensive. He has a Super Bowl experience. He played for the Eagles. He also used to play with Sam Darnold on the Jets. He really sort of checks all the boxes here. So Mekhi Becton, I think, could be a great opportunity. He is a tackle, but he could also play guard. And I do think that I think Mekhi Becton would be a good choice, in my opinion. I think he would make a lot of sense. The question, though, is obviously the price tag is a big question. He might be all high and mighty after winning the Super Bowl. We'll see. There's another guard that the Seahawks were really close to signing, and this one's kind of unfortunate. This one kind of hurts me. Seahawks reportedly could have signed guard Will Fries. Will Fries, former Colt, really good player, really good young player too. And apparently, and now again, I don't know if these reports are true. A lot of this is coming from 710 Radio. Dan Viens was reporting this, saying that Will Fries wanted to play for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, a lot of people think Will Fries was the best guard available in free agency this year, so this is a big deal. And the Seahawks apparently offered him 3 years for $50 million. Now, the Vikings, they offered him 5 years, $88 million. So it's very similar in terms of the average annual value, right? The Seahawks were willing to pay him, what would that be, $18 million a season. Vikings, I think, are paying him a little bit more than that. I think maybe actually a little bit less than that, around $17, $18 million a season. Very, very similar as far as average annual value goes. But the Vikings tacked on 2 extra seasons. The Seattle Seahawks, they wouldn't go the extra mile and give him those 2 extra years. And Will Fries chose Minnesota for the longer-term stability over Seattle, despite apparently wanting to play for the Seahawks. The quote that I heard was that Will Fries was the Seahawks if they wanted him enough. And it fell through. And that's a bummer to me. Not really because I really fell in love with Will Fries. I do think he's a really good player. But it's because of the overall, what that continues to show is that the Seahawks continuously, over the past 10 years and still now, are refusing to pay linemen what they're worth. Refusing to give them what they're worth. And that really is a bummer because I really truly believe that if you don't have a good offensive line, you can't succeed in the playoffs. Just look at the Chiefs. Their line fell apart in the Super Bowl. They got destroyed. Look at what's happened in Philadelphia. They won the Super Bowl because of their offensive line. They won the Super Bowl because they had these stud players on the line. And the Seahawks continually say, we don't want to invest in the line. And that's a bummer to me. I think Will Fries would have been good, but it's not about Will Fries. It's about what this signifies. To a lot of Seahawks fans, what this continues to signify is a lack of effort in building up a line. And that's hard to watch as a Seahawks fan. With that all being said, though, guys, we're going to wrap this video up for today. Comment down below, do you agree with me? Do you think the Seahawks need to build the offensive line? And what do you think about these potential options? How would you feel if Tyron Smith, Mekhi Becton, or Will Fries would have ended up in Seattle? I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. And as always, until next time, go Seahawks.